Who would have won, Layla Ali or Ann Wolf?
And Wolf. No doubt about it.
Nah,
No doubt about it.
Would have
no
killed her.
doubt. Wow. All right.
Not even close.
The evening here, the one and the only Terri Moss. How are you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. I love that. That's the real thing, though, right? It's not a green screen.
This is the real thing.
Man, look at that. That's a great background right there.
I know, right? It's not even like Zoom added.
Wow. That's great. I need that background. I'm gonna get a green screen for it. Just
right. There it is.
There you go.
Oh, with the guns too. Look at
that. There they are. Yeah, we just got training. Just got done training tonight, so thought I'd give you a nice background. The big, beautiful gym we have.
Absolutely. What prompted you to, at age 36, say, I want to box? Because that's not, this is one of the most brutal sports in the world. Not something a 36-year-old just says,
right.
Hey.
Yeah, that's really crazy. I don't know what I was thinking. It was an accident.
Was an accident?
Totally
was
accident.
It wasn't like you're doing it as a workout and it just kind of evolved?
I was, I'm a little bit older, so than you guys, not too much though, but I would tell people when Olivia Newton-John was getting physical, so was I. So back when the leg warmers and the bodysuits were in the gym, I was doing that. So I did all the things, and then it was kind of like the next level of workout. Triathlons were becoming popular about that time, or at least something that were more in the general public. So I was training like for my first half triathlon. I was actually in law enforcement at the time, and I was a bicycle cop. So I rode, 8 hours, 12 hours a day sometimes. So I was strong with that. And then I do running, swimming, all that stuff. So I had a friend that, saw that J-Lo movie called Enough, where she beats up her boyfriend who was abusive, after she took some boxing classes, and apparently she had a husband that she wanted to beat up. She's like, I'm gonna go to this boxing gym. We were on our way to aerobics class. And she was like, you need to go. I'm like, oh, you're crazy. I would never do boxing. So anyway, we stopped into this gym and we wound up working out there instead of going to the class. And, 3 months later, she was gone and I was going to fights all over the country. It was over. I'm telling you, I did love working out and I was really active anyway. So, but I don't know what I was thinking. I would never tell anybody. But back then, women's boxing was different. I boxed when Christy Martin and all those guys were boxing, and there were hardly no women in the amateurs. And now they have like masters division stuff, where people can be a little bit older and train, that kind of thing. But back then there was really no masters division. So I tried to get a few amateur fights and just went right in the pros so I could get fights. And a lot of women, back then went straight into the pros. And one of the reasons that people complained that women's boxing was so sloppy is because we just didn't have experience. There were no fighters. You'd fight like 4 or 5 weight classes, which I did. We all did that. But back then it was kind of like MMA. You just took whatever you could get just to get in the ring. And quite frankly, the boxing public was like, just sit with your hands in your lap and say, thank you for letting me box. We didn't make no money. We didn't do nothing. It was but, definitely we were there for the heart. So, whatever it takes, that's what we did.
Love it. Gym, but is there a cage there somewhere? Or is that purely a boxing gym?
No, we don't do kickboxing. We're just straight boxing, So, we're a big gym. We're almost 15,000 square foot. We've got 2 full-size rings. We've got an Olympic ring behind me, the smallest Olympic ring. And then across, I'm looking at another ring right here that's a competition, size ring. So we've held Golden Gloves. I did an Olympic level duel here, U.S. versus China in 2015. And Clarissa Shields fought here. Michaela Mayer fought here. Marlon Esparza fought here. All those guys. Branshaw and Cruz, they were on the same Olympic, they were on the same national team, and we did a national competition here, U.S. versus China for the women's team. That was fun. So we've done all kind of shows here, but I've also done a lot of promoting outside of the gym. So it's been both ways. And I opened the gym it's 2013. So it's a big gym. We're the biggest gym in Atlanta, and we're busy. We're big. We're fun. It's definitely. Some call it the money gym, some call it the party gym, but we definitely enjoy what we do. And we host, some really good events here. And, it was built by like literally 3 women built the gym. And now it's, I I've actually got 2 new partners that we've all gone into business together on this gym, and we've got 11,000 square foot we're building out on the back side of the gym. So altogether, it's like 25,000 square foot. It's a big facility, but we have pool tables. Don't tell anyone.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
But so we, it's a big, big stroke for the women that, in boxing that, are making a difference. And, hey, it's a good time for us.
The 2 blondes, the blonde bomber, Ebony Bridges against Shannon Courtney.
Right.
And Courtney had some things to say about Ebony, about the lingerie at the weigh-in and stuff like that. And some people were saying, what's the big deal? I
mean, lingerie, I've seen a lot of thongs at the weigh-in, those kind of things. I never dressed like that, but I was always trying to prove myself as an athlete. But, it did the thing, Mia St. John posed in Playboy, Regina Homage, as what's her name? The little Mexican girl, they call her Barbie. I can't remember her name now. I'm a little out of touch.
Barbie,
but there've been quite a lot, of women that have kind of used that angle to bring attention to themselves. But certain kind of behaviors at fights are, to me, unacceptable. I hate to say this, but we just had a female fight here, and the girl twerked in the ring after her win, and it was the most embarrassing thing out of everybody. Was like, oh, that's too far. It was not cool. It just belittles everything that women fighters are trying to do. I mean, it was a whole show of like a stripper, and that it's one thing to dress a certain way at the weigh-in, but that's not a cool thing to do. Dressing a certain way at the weigh-in, it's one thing to it's marketing. I mean, I like seeing Canelo without a shirt, but that's what you do. So I can understand that, but there's certain behaviors that are really just over the line that shouldn't be done. That's one of them. I've never seen anything like that until this past weekend, and I was mortified. As a woman and, in a boxing gym, sometimes I get guys come through that, they think, oh, I can get something done in there, but they get stopped at the doors. They learn to definitely respect, the situation. So, and not that I'm I'm not somebody that's like, I got to prove myself. I'm totally not like that. I respect men as men, what I'm saying? They don't have to be cower under me. That's not something I would approve of. They're men, I'm just the trainer. So,
one of the things that I wanted to ask you, Terri, was really cool start to your story. And it kind of sounds like you were off to the races right away. And so I just wanted to ask you, once you got into the gym, when did you start realizing that you could do this? I mean, were you naturally a scrapper beforehand, or did a trainer say, hey, you have real potential, let's get this going? What was your train of thought as you turned professional?
No, none of that happened. It's just a stubborn will. That's what that is, and somebody just doesn't care. So, it's like I said, women's boxing was definitely not, in fact, the first fight I ever saw was Holyfield Tyson won. I mean, and then, I remember Muhammad Ali when I was a kid, but to me, I was just a little kid watching boxing. It didn't, I thought everybody was watching it. It was like watching any other sport, I was not interested. But I was always interested in athletics, even when I was young, like grade school. But I never did any other sport. I don't know. I guess I wasn't really raised in a way to have that kind of drive. It was a different environment. So I kind of grew up in the hood a little bit. So I kind of had to find my way. But, I did that. But yeah, I just had a really stubborn will about, I don't care. I don't care, what people say. I don't care if they laugh. I don't care. The hardest problem I had was finding a trainer willing to train me. So I just had to be sure to pay for that because they weren't making any money on women fighters at that point. Maybe some now, they weren't getting any glory because women, couldn't fight very well because there was so few and little competition. I mean, my first year of fighting professionally, my first fight was somebody that just won a intercontinental title. And my trainer's like, just tell the commission you had 10 Muay Thai fights. So I didn't know how to fight a lick, but I went in there. But, I lasted the fight and I swore I'd never do it again. And a week later I was back in the gym. And then, the next fight is like a women's world champion amateur, ranked #1 in the world at flyweight. And, I made it through that fight as I was 0-3. And then my next fight was somebody ranked #4 at 108. So, then I'm creeping down the weight classes and trying to find my way. And I wound up at 102, which is where I belonged. And I fought my fourth fight. The girl was ranked #1 in the world, and I fought her and beat her. Well, I had my mind made up I was going to beat her because she was what I thought was small. But then, I realized when we got in the ring, we were the same size. But yeah, it was definitely not the kind of thing that people were encouraging me to do, and nobody saw talent. I mean, I had talent. I know that now as a trainer that I had a lot of athletic talent and ability, but if I had it, nobody would have told me. They just, I was too old and I was a female and there was no money and, talent was regardless, didn't matter. So
you had a lot of,
I fought for 5 world titles. I only fought for 6 years. And I became world champion. I had a continental title. I got a few other little belts, and then I got inducted in the Hall of Fame right beside Layla Ali and Ann Wolfe. So, yeah, I can't complain. I set a Guinness World Record for the oldest female world champion. It was me and George Foreman till Bernard Hopkins beat his record. So I was in good company. Wow. So even though, there wasn't, the difference is back then the weight classes were shallow. There were not, especially at 102 pounds, there were, maybe 120 girls in the whole world that fought that weight. So, wow. But it was crazy. It was fun though.
A lot of people make the argument that, women should fight the same as the men, 3 rounds, 12 rounds for championship fights, or 3 minutes and 12 rounds for championship fights. What's your opinion about that?
So in the past, I feel like it was better, not because the women couldn't make it through the rounds. We trained 3-minute rounds anyway. You know what I'm saying? It was just a matter of making the fights busier and more exciting when there was a lot less skill on the table. So to me, that was a good thing. It made it move a little quicker. In a 2-minute round, you can throw a lot more punches. There was always, and people would say always, oh, the women's fight was the best fight of the night. You guys have probably heard that before. It's more action. It's because there's less time, per round. You got to get in there and get it done. So I think that was probably necessary back when I was fighting. But now, you definitely could go to the 3 minutes, and the women are skilled. They're talented. They have experience. There is room now to go beyond that. So I think it's just a matter of getting, quite frankly, some people's head out of the sand, about, just having a woman athlete. And as far as women's boxing is concerned, the United States is one of the slowest countries to move for the longest time, even now. So they pay less, they provide less, they're treated with less dignity and respect. And, that's, you see a lot different look if you go to Europe, or if you go to Brazil, or if you go to, a lot of places in Central America and Mexico. It's a different ballgame.
Okay, yeah. Do you believe knockouts would increase as well?
I think that I don't think women's boxing has a lack of knockouts because the shorter rounds are happening. Maybe there would be more, but I think it's more around the development of the fighter. If you're a boxing person, that has nothing to do with power. So to attribute, say, women can't knock each other out because they don't have the power, doesn't even make sense, because knockouts come from timing, the punch they didn't see, the angle that you take, it has nothing to do with power.
From my understanding, you handle contracts too for fighters, right? Or you've made
fights. I manage
a
couple guys, and I promote some.
So I want you to do us a favor, because today's boxing fan, at least the young boxing fans who follow the social media crap, they think it's just the easiest thing in the world to make a fight.
Yeah, you can, even as a trainer or as a manager, and if one of my guys says, I want to fight him, just tonight I had a couple of guys sparring in the ring. One of them kind of teed off on the other guy, and he's like, one more round. I'm like, no more rounds. Sometimes it's a matter of, you can't let them go off the emotion. It's got to be where in pro boxing, as we know, it's got to be money and contracts and rights and sponsors. And, there's 1,000 things that go with making a fight, even on a low level. And you got 10 guys, one thing, it takes a lot of work to put a fight together. And especially on the big fights. It's just you're lucky if it ever makes it to the ring. It's like a pregnancy. It's so rare of a chance that you get pregnant. It's just shocking that anybody ever does. But it's the same thing with the fight. It's just amazing to even make it to the ring with every single fight. There's so many things that can go wrong, and there's so many things you have to negotiate. And then do they actually get there? Do they something happens, a COVID test? It's just no telling. All the weight can be wrong. It's 1,000 things that can happen that, that just seem like they would be simple. You be on weight, be well, get your medicals done, do your things, but, it just doesn't happen like that. So, still there are problems.